So today I'm here speaking to Dr. John Collier. He's the principal of St Andrew's Cathedral School in Sydney. So John recently found himself on the front page of The Australian and in many other news reports because he will tell us why exactly, but in short, he was fed up with parents that were bullying his teachers, and I think we probably have a few of those that go on around the country. That won't be a surprise to anyone. But John had had enough, so he told the parents that they needed to chill, literally. Otherwise, he was going to cut off access to his teachers via email and telephone calls, and even be banned from the grounds of the school. Very courageous man, John, so thank you for talking to us. Can you give us a little bit of background as to what happened with this story?
Well, I was surprised that the matter became a viral issue, really, because about 6-7 weeks ago, that is 4 weeks before the end of term, I wrote an email to parents saying a few of you are misbehaving and your behaviour is not acceptable and you'll have to change if you're going to continue to have access. Now, the irony is that the vast majority of our parents are delightful. This is a small number that cause a problem, but the number is growing. And I saw it as a sign of decreasing civility in society, and if I did nothing it would get worse, so I decided to say something.
Parents are becoming so much more powerful now. Why is that?
I think parents are empowered by the sense that they are partners in education, and it's true they are, and that's good if it's well managed. It's very different from when I started teaching nearly 50 years ago, where we rarely saw parents, and that was unhelpful. Now we have parents who are sometimes helicopter parents, or the worst rendition of that, so-called Black Hawk parents. And I think it's partly because of the increasing individualisation of society, and also smaller families and later parenting, where so many parents think, I've only got this one child, it's my one shot, and everything's got to be right for this child. So there's a lot of pressure on schools, and the advent of email gives parents very easy contact and immediate contact, and often they'll fire something off in the first flush of anger with no perspective.
Well, it's interesting because email and social media and all those things have the great advantages, but of course they have great disadvantages as well.
Indeed,
so
indeed.
We obviously in this blog and vlog talk a lot about media involvement. So how did you come to be on the front page of The Australian with a beautiful photo, I might add, but how did that happen?
Well, it took me rather by surprise. I was languishing in Broome just in the first week of the holidays.
Very nice.
And suddenly the media went wild, and I was receiving invitations from commercial television, from most channels, from radio, from ABC TV, from Sky News, to be live on TV, to do radio interviews, and in fact I did quite a lot of them. It took me 2 whole days to work through the requests. And I did them partly because I thought the issue was important and obviously hit a chord. Yeah,
so, I mean, having media coverage is one thing, but really it's can be very strategic. What was your aim in actually accepting the interview requests?
My aim was firstly to give the school profile, because here in the middle of the city in a high-rise building we're often invisible and people don't know we're here. But my secondary aim was that staff need to be defended. Staff in my school, teachers in other schools, and if I was to be the unexpected spokesperson for this, then that was my lot, it seemed at the time.
And how did you prepare for those media interviews? What was your strategy?
Usually I just thought through what it was they wanted to talk to me about and what my key points were.
All important, those key messages. Good.
The media training I've done has suggested that if one says just one thing off the main message, that's the only thing that will be quoted. So I managed to, I think, stay on message, which is very important, I think.
That's a lot of media interviews in a couple of days. That's what did you learn from that, and what hints or what tips might you be able to offer other principals that would be watching this video?
I learnt that if I could lead the media and go on to the terrain that I wanted, that they would generally follow. that I didn't have to be, as it were, a recipient of their particular message, but I could actually shape the message and mostly choose the terrain, and that was helpful.
Did they try and take you off your message, and how did you manage to get back?
They tried to get me to overstate it at times, to suggest that all parents were hideous, and of course that's not the case. And so I had to keep coming back to the fact that, in my experience, we have a small problem, and it may well be, ironically, that at St Andrew's Cathedral School the problem is actually less than in many and most places. But that, yes, enough was enough, and that one could take a stand.
And were you glad that you did the media?
Yes, I was. I've got tremendous feedback by email from my own parents and from members of the public, just ringing in, sending emails, and it seems to have really hit a chord. I wasn't trying to start a movement, I was only trying to say something to a small group of parents from this school. But it was encouraging that people felt that I was speaking for them and saying something important.